Welcome to the latest episode of Who, What, When, Where, and the Why. My name is Jason Eick. I'm the Health and Wellness Director to Tuscarawas County YMCA, and I'm going to be your host today. This is now the third one I've done. If you watched the one that we just posted a couple weeks ago, this is actually the second part of that. This podcast is going to be called Preventative Maintenance, and it's a two-parter. We're really excited. Preventative maintenance, we're talking about how health and wellness and exercise and healthy living has kind of enhanced our lives, made it so we're able to recover easier and quicker from injury and maybe even prevent some injuries and some illnesses. So I wanted to talk about this a topic from a couple different perspectives. So in the first part of the podcast, we talked with a YMCA member and a personal training client of mine, and then we had a new staff member and Natalie come in and talked about it from a personal training aspect. Right now, these lovely young ladies that I have with me today are both community members. They're both members of the YMCA, longtime members, and they've also been involved in various aspects of our YMCA, which I'm going to try to touch on at some point. So let's welcome Sue. Let me Ferbrache. Close enough. It's better than I did for Natalie's name last one. And then Sandy Rubino. Thank you so much for coming, guys. I'm friends with both of these ladies, and they graciously accepted my invitation to come today and talk. So I'm excited to have them here. So hi.
Hi.
Thanks for coming. So for today's podcast, like I said, this is a two-parter. We're talking about preventative maintenance. So just to get started, let's talk real quick about your YMCA stories. What brought you not only to the YMCA, but what brought you to health and wellness in general? So let's start with Sue.
Well, I think early on, some friends just said, oh, you have to join the Y. And at that time, couples volleyball was the thing to do. And so, yes, we did couples volleyball for several years. And then, I also joined a starter fitness class.
Was that at the Y?
That was at the Y,
Really?
yes. And then starter fitness evolved into Fit for Life.
Awesome.
And then the third one, we always joked, should be Fit to be Tied.
That's awesome. Oh, man. And you've been involved like in the board as well.
Oh, yeah. I was a board member for about 7.5 years because I filled an unfulfilled term.
Oh,
and
okay.
then,
Awesome.
And that was just a real inside look at the Y.
Right.
I really
and
enjoyed
it kind of sheds a life on what we do. The YMCA is not just a gym. It's not just a place to shoot baskets. It's not just a place to spin or swim and play and lift weights. We're a nonprofit organization. So the stuff that we provide, the services that we provide to the community, I think are essential. And the youth development we're very, very proud of. And families. I mean, it's a place for families to come. So we're very proud of that. And we've been around for over 100 years, and we intend to be around for another 100. Mm-hmm. So that's awesome. So we're going to move to Sandy, talk to Sandy a little bit. Sandy comes to my shred class religiously twice a week. It's the class that I teach. I've taught for over a decade now at the Y. I'm very proud of the class. I'm very proud of Sandy and how awesome she does in the class. So let's hear a little bit about your YMCA story.
Well, really, I got acquainted with the Y when my children were growing up.
Okay.
My husband was on the board, president, like at the beginning of the millennium.
Yeah.
And he started going 46 years ago
And he was directly involved with that Renew the Y that built our wellness center,
yes,
correct? Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely. Because it was back then, the building was built in 1970 and it was opened in 1971. So in the beginning, I don't know how many people are watching or listening that know the old school, but I grew up in the Y. I started coming in 1982 when I was 1 year old. But I remember coming out of the boys' locker room and seeing the weight room when I was like a little kid, and I'd look around the corner and it's probably Daryl or somebody in there, and it was like a dungeon then, which I absolutely loved. But mainstream took over and we kind of moved into that 21st century because now women like you guys are in there all the time lifting weights and working just as hard as the men are. So your husband, Mike, was a great guy, by the way. He was instrumental in that.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
And a very much a believer with the youth in the YMCA. So I started, I took swimming lessons myself because I did not know how to swim.
Yeah.
And then they had jazzercise and played racquetball. And then I think I got away from it a little bit until, I don't know, somebody talked me into coming back, and then the shred class.
Yeah,
you will like it.
Was it Sue?
Love it.
Was it Sue Dimmermuth that talked to you into coming down?
No.
Was it somebody else?
No, I can't remember off the top of my head. But just the camaraderie and people, and it lifts your spirit.
Yeah, we're going to hopefully talk about that. We have a limited amount of time, but I want to talk about how awesome that the social aspect. I talked about it in the last podcast because it isn't just. We talked a little bit about the last project we just did. We talked about at-home workouts, and they were a necessity in 2020. It was something we just had to do because fitness centers were closed. But the in-home workouts are okay, but they're never going to replace that feeling of being at a gym, feeling of being in a health and wellness location. And not only because the equipment's going to be better, that's the easy part, but you're having that one-on-one, that social aspect, that social connection. You're building relationships, which is number one, first and foremost, is going to keep you accountable. It keeps you coming back, and you build friendships that last a complete lifetime. And you're kind of motivated for that. It gives you that extra incentive, that extra motivation to be like, you know what, if I don't come to the Y to this morning, I'm not going to see Michael. I'm not going to see Sandy, or I'm not going to see Sue, not going to see Sandy, not going to see all these people. Mm-hmm. And you guys are going to hold people to this. Yes, I've seen you do it. True. Like what you come in and like, where's Deb? Where's Deb Sankar? She's another staple in the morning. And it was like, I don't know. I haven't seen her for a couple of days. And it come to find out she was under the weather, comes in, everybody, it's like Norm at Cheers. Deb, Sue. Every time everybody walks in, and you don't get that other places. And we're very proud of that. And the social aspect is the most important part of being in that health and wellness center, health and wellness facility. So I'm glad you guys touched on that. So moving into the meat and potatoes of this, wanted to talk about how exercise and a healthy lifestyle helped you guys and helped other people that you know in general enhance the quality of your lives. Could you both talk a little bit how exercise has helped you deal with or prevent injuries? I know, Sandy, I'm going to talk to you first this time. You had a knee replacement. So you had a full knee replacement, right?
Yes.
And can you tell us a little bit about that? And in general, not only with the knee replacement, but how has that helped you throughout your life and leading up to the knee replacement surgery you just had?
Well, the discomfort and the pain getting ready to have the courage enough to have the knee replacement done, and then being told by the doctor, do you want to, at your age, you can stop being able to do the things you want to do,
right,
or have the knee surgery, and you can do this. And I thought, well, I wasn't sure about that. And after the surgery, I really wasn't sure about that. Right. But their encouragement, 50% he said was him, 50% was me.
Awesome, yeah.
Doing the therapy. The therapy is imperative, and I did. And then, of course, the pandemic. As soon as I stopped my therapy, I started the Y, and then we had the pandemic. But I did therapy at home,
right,
and as soon as I could go back to the Y, and for 18 months, I've done therapy at home and the Y.
Yeah.
And he said he didn't need to see me till I was 80.
Fantastic.
So, I'm thankful. And
so you being fit before that, you think that helped your recovery?
Oh, I think so. I probably could have been more fit, but I mean,
all could, right?
At least moving.
Yeah.
And your muscles, when you don't move them,
right? Atrophy, it takes in, and you're the move it or lose it thing. It isn't just a
joke. No.
It isn't just a joke.
No.
The muscle atrophy takes place, and if we don't move those muscles, if we don't keep that mobility and that strength up, it's going to diminish. But I thought that was interesting. You said, after you had the surgery, did that give you a little bit of a look into the window of what it would be like to not have that?
Right. I think it would be very difficult to get through that, and it'd be a longer time.
Right. So that's something that probably was like, okay, this is something I don't want to experience any longer than I have to. So I'm going to put the time in to do the therapy exercises and supplement it with the stuff. Because I remember that Michael came and said, hey, can you help her on some machines? And that just tickled me pink because I haven't seen you for a while. And it was so we put you on some of the selectorized machines in the healthy living room.
A range of motion, you lose the range of motion.
And you got to that range of motion that they wanted you to very quickly.
I did. Yeah, thankfully. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's awesome. So we're moving on to Sue. So let's talk a little bit. You follow that, right? No, everybody's got their own story.
Oh, I need a surgery.
No, you don't.
But you being so healthy, I want to hear a little bit about like this biking that you do. She tries to talk to me about biking. I ride bikes with motors in them, but Sue goes, and sometimes she rides more than I do on a Harley, and she's on a bicycle. So let's talk about how your physical fitness, not just in the wellness center lifting weights. Let's talk about that cycling and how that's helped you.
Oh, well, cycling has always been, part of that whole regimen, running, swimming,
so for a long
cycling,
time,
whatever.
So you've been doing that forever.
Okay. Forever. And Sandy and I have talked exercise is like the fountain of youth.
It is. It really is.
It really is. And I think even if you get injured, and things hurt.
Sure.
Things hurt.
Yeah, it's going to.
They don't, it's not a disability. You're not disabled by it, and then you heal better.
Right.
But yes, keep biking.
Yeah. Well, and you know what I think is interesting about that? The variety of what you do physically. So not only are you a cyclist, and you ride like 10, 15, 20 miles sometimes, right? Quite a bit. Yeah,
at
easy.
least.
Yeah, she's like, oh, at least. So I that's awesome. But yeah, so that intense cycling that you do, you're in the wellness center almost every day, lifting weights. And the form is great. She knows what she's doing. She's taking the time to learn that. And then you don't have to just pick one thing. Like, oh, okay, I don't have to just lift weights. And anybody watching this, like, that's the pot calling the kettle black, Jason, because that's pretty much all I do. And I know that, but I'm about to turn 40 years old, and I know that I have to add some other stuff into my workouts, because I know, and I meant to talk about this in the last podcast, but I didn't get a chance to do that. I had, when I was a teenager, I had a relatively bad injury, and it was just like a chronic injury that came up in my right shoulder. They call it a posterior instability of the shoulder. So what it was is it was just weakness in the tendons and the connecting tissue in the rear part right underneath the rear deltoid. So I was, like rock star extraordinaire back then. I thought I was just going to be in like the new guitarist of Van Halen or something. So I never worked out. I did some boxing, and I did mixed martial arts, martial arts back then. It was before mixed martial arts. That's how old I am. But I did some of that stuff, but I never lifted weights, but I always was into it. I grew up watching, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Stallone and Hulk Hogan and all those guys. So I knew eventually I was going to start getting into lifting. But I saw a doctor, orthopedic specialist, and he said, well, we can pin, because my shoulder was falling out of place. It would literally slip out of place. And my orthopedic specialist said, well, you got a couple options, man. We can pin your shoulder. We can give a surgery that's got like a 40% success rate. Or you could just start lifting weights and get it stronger and improve the tightness of that elasticity in that connective tissue. Get yourself stronger, and that might do it. And I'm like, cool, that's all I have to hear. I'm like, cool. So I completely changed the way I was living, which I needed to anyway. I needed to get healthier, even though I was in my late teens, early 20s. I was moving around, but I wasn't exercising. So I really dove headfirst into it. So that's how I started bodybuilding and started lifting weights, and it just became a bug. And then, I eventually, a couple of years later, I changed careers, and I've been training for almost 15 years. We're doing this for a living. So it's been an awesome, very rewarding experience for me. So that's how I came to it. Like I basically started lifting weights because the doctor told me that I pretty much had to, or my shoulder would just be like dangling there. So that's how I came into it. So that's awesome that you guys said that. And let's talk about immune system too, because we're talking about, COVID and everything else. And, we got to take the steps to protect ourselves from that. Nobody can argue against that. But I want to talk about the health and wellness aspect. If we're strong, if we're in shape, that does so much to the immune system. So, and I don't think you guys had it, did you? Yeah. So that's fantastic that you guys took steps to protect yourself. And I know you guys did that, but I'm telling you, I think that came into play. My whole family got it, and I didn't get sick because I've taken a regimen of vitamins since I was a little kid. And I just increased that over the years when I started, lifting weights and doing my kind of stuff. So I really am devoted to, I'm really in tune with what I got going on. I monitor my blood pressure almost like stupid times. My wife's just like, oh my gosh, she's looking at it again. But I like to be in tune with that. I want to know. I think it's been a big reason why I very rarely get sick. Have you guys experienced that?
Well, I think you try to at least eat a little bit, more vegetables.
Yeah,
more,
sure.
I mean,
sure.
Lord, I'm not perfect.
Yeah, no one is.
But you have to think a little bit about that.
Yeah.
And water.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm trying to teach myself to drink
hydration, not just coffee.
I
know you and I don't know about you. I don't know if you're a coffee person.
More tea.
But me and Sandy, we love coffee. Yeah, we absolutely love coffee.
Good coffee.
Yeah, good coffee. She made me some good coffee, and I was just like, wow. I mean, I'm kind of like, I don't care what I'm drinking, as long as
I do.
But that's some really, really nice stuff. She's a coffee snob, and I think it's great. It's definitely warranted. But you got to make sure that hydration level's there, because the body's 75% water, and if you don't keep that hydration levels up, you're not going to have the muscle performance. You're going to get cramping. There's so much. It reduces brain function. That sounds funny, but it does.
And especially when you're doing a lot of therapy.
Yeah.
your muscles, you get muscle cramps if you don't.
This is hydration, because even if you're just doing stretching and therapy movements, you're still taxing that muscle. So if that hydration, if those fluid levels are not replaced,
it makes a difference.
It's going to take it from somewhere else. So that's why it's super important. So.
And I think even if you do get sick, and you're going to get a cold, but it won't last as long as it might otherwise.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah. And, in that these health and wellness habits that we all build up, we probably apply that when we're sick too. We don't just sit down and shut down and do absolutely nothing. We're trying to still make sure our fluid level's up. We're still trying to take vitamins. We're still trying to get some sunlight and just be healthy. And that's helping too, because I know a lot of people just like, I'm going to sit inside, I'm going to lay in bed, I'm just going to do nothing but watch TV. And that's a lot of times that's not really helping you. You got to move. Even if you don't feel super well, you got to kind of move that body. Well, I figured, I told you it would not be hard to bring up some time. We'd be talking and we kind of go off the rails here. But I wanted to move on to the next topic I want to talk about. We talked about this a little bit, but I want to dig a little bit deeper. A huge aspect, an important part of our why, we feel, is the social aspect and how that forges and develops lasting relationships. Let's talk a bit about that. Let's talk about some of the relationships, not only like on the board and everything else, but let's talk about some of the relationships that we've been able to build, all of us being involved with the Y. Talk with Sue first.
Oh, well, that's where my social life is.
Yeah.
So, and, from that, I met Sandy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we have a little walking group.
Awesome.
And we've gone from walking to fishing in Lake Erie to biking to poker.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
But that group is just now part of my socialization.
Yeah. And it's
great.
Yeah, you wouldn't have had those relationships if it wasn't for the Y.
No, if it weren't for the Y, well, I wouldn't know them.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know them.
Yeah.
Or I wouldn't know them at this level.
At that level, yeah. Right, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Well,
Sandy.
You pass, you meet new people, and your lives cross each other. I think that you find out that you can read people.
Yeah.
And they need someone. Sometimes you're around and you can just tell they need somebody to talk to, somebody to go have a cup of coffee with.
Well, like you've done that with Amber.
Yeah.
Like at the Wiley, she's kind of like, we kind of like take her under and, she's dealing with stuff. And now look how great she's doing.
Yeah.
And, so.
And I think anybody, you say, oh, let's go have breakfast. Well, yeah, why not?
Absolutely.
And you get to know other people and other walks of life and their families. And isn't that what it's all about?
Right.
And I think the diversity is in there too.
That's
and
a great
that is wonderful.
Yep. Everybody.
Yeah.
All walks of life. All walks of life.
And you should feel like you are a friend to other
you belong.
people. Yeah.
Everybody belongs at the YMCA. It's for absolutely everybody. It doesn't matter who you voted for.
That's exactly right.
It doesn't matter what color your skin is. It doesn't matter anything. None of that stuff applies. All that matters is that you can come in there and just, be open to make relationships. And I think that's an awesome thing. That's something we obviously need more in this world, in this day and age, because there's so much division. We don't have that there at the Y for the most part. It's not like we're immune to that too, but we do a good job of, I think, bringing people together. And
I think so.
And we're very proud of that.
Yeah.
Those fitness classes that we do, the shred, there's so many. The one that you and I do, that she does with me, just take a snapshot of, and just think of the people that are in that group, in the morning and in the PM group too. A lot of different people, and those people, we all kind of depend on each other coming. And if we didn't have that connection, I don't know if it was just a regular class that maybe the instructor didn't care, and that's not like it with our staff. My staff is awesome. Everybody tries to hold the class participants accountable and develops that relationships. But what if it was just, we don't care if these people show up? I don't think you guys would have that connection.
No, I don't think so either.
It wouldn't be as important for those individuals to come and be a part of the shred class. Because if Mary doesn't show up, or if Amber's not there, or if you're not there, everybody's like, where's Sandy?
Yeah. And I mean, during the period of time, it's been a lot of years. I can't remember how many, but I've been through people's ups and downs.
Sure.
Some people that have had very serious illnesses, and if you can reach out and touch somebody, and then exercise as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a win-win situation.
It's a no-brainer. It's a win-win situation. That is awesome. You have anything else to add? I know that you guys, we could probably talk about this subject forever.
Yeah.
I love that
Yeah,
you mentioned the diversity.
Well, and I also think you mentioned greeting people.
Yeah.
That starts from the front desk.
It does.
It's just
That's a great point.
The entire staff is just really wonderful.
You know, they have the hardest job in the building, and I've said this before. They do because they learn everybody's names. They have to know what's going on in every department. They have to be up on fitness class procedures. If something happens, if like the lights go out in the Y right now, everybody's going to the front desk. So the front desk staff that Gary Hampton goes, he's training, and Kathleen Johnson is the membership director. They do a fantastic job, and I think they should definitely be recognized for how awesome that they train that staff, and the group of people that they've brought into the team. It's second to none. They learn people's names, and they kind of get involved in their lives, and it keeps them coming in. Because if you didn't have that welcoming, if you didn't have that warm feeling, like, oh wow, they know exactly who I am, they're going to come in. And you guys are a little bit different because you guys are so ingrained in the Y. Everybody knows you too, and everybody knows me, and everybody else. But there's people that have came up to me, and I might just know their first name. I don't know anything about them. I've never went and had dinner with them, anything like that. But we're friendly when we see each other there. And they've came up and said, it makes a big difference, because any other gym that I've ever been at, that doesn't happen. And I know the other fitness facilities do a good job too. I'm not going to rip on them at all. We're blessed with some really great places around here, but I think we definitely go above and beyond to really not only welcome you in to our facility, welcome you into our programming and the things that we do at the YMCA, but we really want to be a part of your life. We really want to be a reason that we want you to come back. Yeah. We want you to use our facility. Some places are like, we're going to take your $20 a month, and there's no possible way that the facility could accommodate all the people that are members. The Y's not like that. We want you there. And, there's something for everybody. Because at a given day, a snapshot, it would go an hour and a half ago. There was pickleball. There was Silver Sneakers. There was La Blast. I had a small group going on, and we had swim lessons going on. I mean, wow.
And look, it exposes you to another class or another activity.
Absolutely. All that stuff. Our classes are free for members. So not only the strength stuff, but the yoga. We're very proud of it. So, yeah. Well, I like to wrap up the podcast. Every time that we wrap up a podcast, I like to talk a little bit about what our favorite thing is about being involved in a Y. And we talked about that already, but there might be something else that you might maybe want to dig a little bit deeper in. So I'm just going to kind of open the floor we'll go with Sue first.
I was thinking about this, and I think it's really important to me anyway, to be a part of something that has such a huge influence in the community.
Yeah.
So I think it has something to do with that, plus all the things we talked about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Friendship and fitness.
Because we're a nonprofit organization. I can't stress that enough. A lot of people don't realize that.
I think people do not realize that.
Yeah, and we're trying. Like I said, we've been around 100 years, and we want to be around 100 more. And we're trying to make sure that people realize. I have a shirt on today. Kathleen Johnson, I've been talking about her a couple of times. She printed these up, and they're awesome. It's our annual campaign T-shirt that we just started now, and all the directors are going to try to wear these on Wednesday. It's just trying to bring some awareness to our annual campaign, and all that money goes into making sure kids are able to use our facility, be a member, and be involved in programming, even if they have no ability to pay. Mm-hmm. And I think that's fantastic. And that's what it's about for us. You can go run a gym anywhere, but you can't be as involved in the community anywhere else but the YMCA.
And it's a positive.
Yeah.
We all need a positive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Community.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And atmosphere.
I think we have it for the most part.
I think so too.
We're lucky.
Oh yeah,
we're lucky. This is a great area. I'm proud of being in Tuscarawas County. I mean, it's not perfect, but no place is.
No.
But look at what we have. Look at the PAC. Look at Buckeye Career Center. Look at the YMCA. Look at what we got here with the Get Level podcast. This is fantastic. They do a number of things for the community, bringing a bunch of diverse people on to talk about what they got going on here. A lot of places don't have stuff like this. Mm-hmm. So I think we're lucky. I count my blessings that I'm involved, that I'm able to be involved in an organization like the YMCA, meet you guys, and continue to do stuff like the golf outing that helps with charity.
Sure.
Turkey Trot's coming up, the 50th anniversary this year. Wow. We're super proud of that. We're going to have an in-person race It's going to be in person. It's not going to be virtual. But virtual was great last year, but we're going to do an in-person race this year. We do food programs at churches and schools in Denison and Yorksville area, feeding kids, making sure, because a lot of times if they're not in school, and a lot of times over the summer, the kids aren't getting those meals because they're used to those meals provided by the schools. And when school's out, where maybe these kids aren't eating because I'm not saying the parents are neglecting, they're probably at work. Are the kids feeding themselves?
Or there's poverty.
Yeah, there's definitely poverty. And so we're helping out. We try to get out in the community, and we're going to continue to do that.
Yeah, I think instead of being, we have a little pile here, a little pile, it's like that we can all mix together and be like a big tossed salad.
Well, right. I mean, because that's human beings, and that's the United States, and we're all different, and that's okay. We can have those differences, but at the end of the day, we're people, and you gotta have that you gotta come together now more than ever. So
I believe that's true.
That's awesome. Really, really good stuff. Really good stuff. Well, guys, we're going to kind of wrap it up here. Once again, my name's Jason Eick. I'm the Health and Wellness Director. Thank you so much to Sandy and Sue that come hang out with me today. I hope you guys got a little bit from this. I hope you guys learned a little bit. I hope you guys maybe were inspired to come join us. Silver Sneakers classes, we're super proud of that. All that stuff's free. That's a very low impact class. My shred class is a little bit harder. It's a weightlifting class, but Sandy does it. And, she does an awesome job, and if
I can do it, anybody can do it.
That's not true. You do a great job, but we modify it so anybody can come and be involved in our classes. So you're never too out of shape to be involved. We can get you in there. We can get you going. It's never too late to start. You could be 85 and you could start tomorrow. Or start right now. Just drive over. So once again, I'm available all the time. You can call the Y at 330-364-5511. My extension is 320. You could also email me. My email address is super easy to remember. It's just jason@tuscarawaymca.org. I always try to make myself available. I'm going to be on vacation. Well, I can't say that because by the time this airs, it'll be long past. I forgot about that. But I try to be available. Would love to talk to you guys. Would love to point you in a direction where you can kind of get in a class that works for you. So once again, my name is Jason. Thanks for listening to us today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.